Alright guys, good afternoon and welcome to another technical analysis update. Today is the 31st of August and it's just coming up to 12:30 p.m. here in the UK. So just to preempt this, today will be the last of the TA updates that I do with Fodl. It's been an amazing time. It's been really great working with them, but because of the direction of the project and the way that things are going to go in the future, they've decided not to keep us going for any longer, so a slight change of plans. But I do wish Fodl the very best, and I'm sure because everybody's working in the background that they will come back even stronger and better than what they did in the last few times. So I look forward to that. But I just wanted to show my gratitude and just explain what's going on with that. So in the meantime, I'm just going to check that, I should have checked this before actually, that the audio and the video are working fine and everything seems to be working fine. So we start here with the cryptocurrency heat map, and you can see that a little bit, well, the great majority of it is in the green, and it's just a little bit in the green, but after the big pullback like we had in the last few days, it's not surprising that we're starting to see a little bit of a bounce here. But again, the great majority of it under 5%, so nothing really extreme. There's very few exceptions that are above 5%. But there we are, so all in the green in the cryptocurrency heat map. On the stock heat map, it's a different story altogether, with the great majority of it being in the red. And again, nothing very extreme, with a very few exceptions above 2 and 3%. The great majority of it are neutral or just below 2%, but nevertheless, it is sort of in the red. Anyway, in this, I'll go on to that in just a second. But I just wanted to pull up the calendar for this week, and today obviously is the last day of the month, so I'm not in a rush to getting into any swing positions on the last day of the month, of course. But you will see here from the calendar that on Friday we have the average hourly earnings, the non-farm employment change, and also the unemployment rates coming out on Friday, September the 2nd. This is coming out at 1:30 p.m. here in the UK. That's around about 12:30 p.m. in UTC times. So this is likely to cause some volatility coming into Friday, and of course leading into the weekend of the first weekend of September. So I would pay attention to Friday, as there's potential volatility heading our way to the markets. Okay, so with that said, let's move on to the S&P, and I haven't done a TA update for a while, so I'm just going to start here with a weekly. And as you can see, like basically when we were looking at this level here, which was basically the yearly VWAP, the 2022 VWAP, we established that that was going to be resistance, and also a change in market structure, with this here being the high and this here being the higher high. Right, so we did that, and I did say that on a pullback, what would be bullish is, of course, to confirm the change in trend direction would be to print a higher low. Now that we've printed a higher high, it would be nice to print a higher low, with these here being the lows on the weekly, right? So as long as it's above that, it's kind of bullish. However, I was expecting the value area low of the yearly VWAP, which is this line here that I've just drawn, to act as support. As you can see here, this is a large low volume area here, just below, just above 4,000 points, just below 4,100 points, and I did expect that area to act as support. However, we lost that level now, and it does look like it wants to reach much lower down here at round about 3,900 points. Okay, so this is a previous level of resistance here. This is also the value area low of the 2021 VWAP. This is the value area high, this is the value area low. And of course, even if the price comes all the way down here, we could argue that there's room to go further up from there, okay? But it's not looking fantastic, especially with the Fed, with Jay Powell coming out and earning his nickname of the No Pivot Jay Powell. No Pivot Powell is his new nickname. So of course it crushed many bullish dreams that people were anticipating, that there was going to be a pivot with the Federal Reserve and that the quantitative tightening would be easing, and of course they would not hike any more interest rates. And what has come out with his statement is that in fact it's going to continue Hence why we're seeing a drawdown in the markets, right? Now, more importantly, let's just stick to the facts here. So in terms of the chart, we've got one balance area here, round about here like this, and we've got another balance area here. Right, big balance area, round about here like this. Okay, now you could argue that this is in fact a smaller one by looking at just this one here. Okay, you can argue that this is like a triple distribution with tapering volume right there, right? Or a double distribution with tapering volume below. However, I'm not too keen on that. I like to get, since this is the weekly chart, I'm more keen to look at this as a high volume cluster like this, right? So without even looking at the VWAPs, you can see that basically we've been rejected from this area here. And even though we tried to go all the way back up there again, we got rejected from there. Now it does look like we're being rejected from this balance here, right? It does look like the price doesn't want to accept there. So let me just show you like this on the daily. Right, and you can see here from the volume profile that it kind of those rectangles actually are fairly accurate, right? So you can see here that we came down, came back up, we got rejected there, we came back down again, and now we're kind of like just hovering here. Now the question is, will we get accepted inside of here? In which case, if we do, then obviously we're going to go all the way down here, in my personal opinion, or maybe even just to here, right, which is where this low volume node is, around about 3,900 points, right, and then kind of bounce here, or will we actually attempt to get back inside of this balance here and get acceptance above? Okay, so either way, the scenario is that we are in pretty much an imbalance here, right, and you know, it's really kind of like important that we regain, for the bulls anyway, that we reclaim this balance here, right? So if we get acceptance back inside of here, I'm just going to put this back on the weekly, and I'm going to delete these marks here. I'm just going to make this a little bit clearer. If we reclaim this level here, around about 4,040 points, right, and then something like this, and we start hovering at resistance here inside of this cluster here, right, the chances are that we'll break to the upside, get acceptance and go up. However, there's no indication of that right now. In fact, what it looks like is like we want to push, and we are hovering, push down, and we're hovering just above this high volume cluster here. And if that's the case and we get acceptance inside of here, then I will almost certainly believe that this is now resistance and that we're heading lower, despite this level here being previous resistance and potentially acting as support. Okay, now it does line up. Let me just delete all of these brush marks again. As you can see, that this is a little bit tricky. There is a low volume node here around about 3,900 points. Like I said, it has perfect confluence with this line here, so we could head all the way down here and then still bounce. But the real question will be if this here is going to be resistance or not. Okay, so basically this level here, right? So, you know, even if we're kind of like just going sideways here, it's not ideal because the bulls didn't really have much of a response here. So basically we broke market structure, we went to the highs, the sellers stepped in, and the bulls should have stepped in round about here, just at the edge of this low volume node, but they didn't. In fact, the market's telling us that this wants to head lower. So, you know, from the S&P's point of view on the higher time frames, it does look like we want to head lower. Okay, this is more visible. So this is basically where, just to give you an overlook, right? So obviously here, this is the yearly. Let me just delete this again. On the top left is the yearly, on the top right is the quarterly, on the bottom right is the monthly, and on the bottom left is the weekly, right? So let's just have a look at this as an overview. Now we are above the we're below the yearly VWAP and below the value area low of 2022. We are now also below the previous quarter VWAP and the current quarter's VWAP. We are below the monthly VWAP. We're below the value area low of the current month. And we're back inside of the June value area high, okay, which was this one here. So on the higher time frames, the yearly, the quarterly, and the monthly, this looks like shit, right? So let's have a look at the weekly. On the weekly, we are below the weekly VWAP. We are also now just being rejected from the value area low of the weekly here. And you can see that there's a low volume area here around about 4,000 points, which was what I was expecting to act as support, that is now acting as resistance. So, you know, overall, you can see that the great majority of all the charts, basically, right from the weekly to the 30-minute to the 1-hour chart, is telling us that this wants to head lower. So with that in mind, there's no reason for us to believe that we're going up right now. Okay, so what is the invalidation of this thesis, and what would let me know, or what would indicate to me that we're heading higher? Well, for me, it would start here on the lower time frames and would be basically reclaiming this weekly VWAP. Okay, a reclaim of this weekly VWAP that we've got here on the bottom left hand corner, which is above 4,000 points, would indicate that we're getting acceptance between 4,000 and 4,070 points, which is basically this range here, right? If that's the case, then I think that we've got a potential setup here for heading a little bit higher, right? But the real challenge here is this level here, right about 4,080 points. Okay, this is a low volume node. It's just below the previous quarterly VWAP, and you can add this as a barometer, right? Even if we reclaim the quarterly VWAP, the current quarter's VWAP, and we head all the way up here, this, in my personal opinion, could still be resistance. As you can see, there's a high volume cluster there, and of course then a much higher volume cluster there. All right, so see that very clearly, right? So this here, you can argue that this is a triple distribution here, right? But you know, just getting past this low volume node would tell me that we're on our way to getting above 4,100 points, and this was just a serious pullback, but nothing really significant. If you look at this on the daily, actually, yes, we broke above the previous highs with this one here, right? But this was the previous lows on the daily, and we've just broken that market structure, right? So of course, when this level here was previous support and we go back to it, what should it be? It should be resistance. And note how it's got perfect confluence with the edge of this high volume cluster. So in my personal opinion, 4,100 points is the real level of resistance, okay? If we can break above 4,100 points, which is basically, well, 4,094 actually, to be precise, which is the previous quarterly VWAP, then I think that this was just a pullback. However, this is resistance until proven otherwise, and so I expect downside. I expect more down prices until proven otherwise. Okay, so let's just have a look at where the next levels of support would be. Next level of support, I'm looking at 3,900 points, right? So let me just delete all of these brush marks here. Let me just delete this. Right. And I'm making a big deal out of this technical analysis, but I just want to sort of highlight this as it is the last one, right? So we've got, on top right hand corner, I've got a low volume node here, around about 3,890 points, okay? That has perfect confluence with this level here, right? Now if you look, I'm on the top right here where I've put the Q, right? So let me just delete that again, put the quarterly there, right? If you look down on the monthly here, you can see that that value area low of the previous quarter and the current quarter has perfect confluence with the month of July's VWAP close, which in turn do apologize for that. Let me just take this off again. So this level here that I'm looking at, right, 3,900 points, is the value area low of the previous quarter. It's the VWAP close for July, right? And also here on the weekly, you can see that the line that printed there is basically the 2021 value area low, right? Which is that level that I was talking about right here, right? So 3,900 points. So for me, in my personal opinion, 3,900 points is the line in the sand. If we break below that, then I think we're going to print new lows and we're going to head much lower. Okay, but that's what I'm seeing right now. So in terms of support, 3,900 points. If we break below that, we're going to head much lower and print new lows, and we're going to go back to 3,600 points, which is the 2020 value area high, this one here. Okay, and that would mean that if we go all the way back here, right, that means acceptance inside of this here, which means that this now will be a resistance, and therefore we'll do something like this and head much lower and print new lows. So that's my personal opinion. The next level of support, like I said, is 3,900 points. If we do break above 4,100 points, of course, then we're going to head much higher. But right now, the important thing is that we've got two main levels here, right? And we're right on the edge of this one here. Acceptance below, we could potentially bounce here, but there's no guarantee that this will be a bullish bounce. It could be just something like this, head up to here and then head lower. But if we do get above this level here around 4,100 points, which is this level here, right? If we get back above this, then I think we've got a very strong possibility of going all the way back up to 4,200 points and maybe even 4,500 points. Okay, so the contention point is really 4,100, and the next level of support is 3,900. If that fails, then we're heading much lower to 3,600 points and potentially even lower to 3,300 points all the way down here. Okay, which will mean getting acceptance inside of this high volume cluster here. You can see that here we've got tapering volume down. Okay, price will accelerate very quickly if we lose this level here, right? Price will accelerate very quickly to 3,600 points, just like it did here, right? There's hardly any volume there. So that's basically what I'm seeing here on the S&P, and I think that is pretty kind of pretty self-explanatory, right? So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. So we're heading down until proven otherwise, right? I don't want to repeat myself, but basically it looks like we're going to get acceptance inside of here. The only thing that can actually deviate from that is if we break above 4,100 points, which is basically getting acceptance inside of this cluster here. With this level here in the middle, somewhere between here and here, being the contention point, the imbalance, if you like. Break above here, and we're heading much higher. Break below here, like this, and I think we're heading much lower, okay? With this here being a potential area for contention, right, for bounces, but that's basically it for the S&P. So with that in mind, I've got a down bias, okay? So I've got a bearish bias looking forward to September. So let's have a look at Bitcoin and see if we can make any sense out of this. So again, here, an overview. On the weekly, we're below the value area low of 2022 VWAP and below the yearly VWAP, right? This is the yearly VWAP here. This is the quarterly, this is the monthly, and this here is the weekly, right? So we are below the yearly VWAP and the value area low of 2022. We are also below the previous quarter VWAP value area low, right? And not only that, we're below the current VWAP and below the current quarter's value area low, which, as you can see here, I'm going to make this bigger so that you guys can see. It's already been rejected here a couple of times here, right? At around about $20,400, $20,500. Okay, so from a quarterly and yearly perspective, you can see that this is not looking too clever here, right? So Let me just delete those lines again. So again, we're below the value area low of the yearly, below the previous quarter value area low, below the current quarter VWAP, and below the current quarter's value area low. On the monthly, we're below the previous month's VWAP close, and we are below the current month's VWAP, right? The only thing that's looking slightly bullish here on the 4-hour chart, 8-hour chart, sorry, is that we're inside July's value area low. Okay, so basically we've deviated below, we got back inside it again. All right, so you know that's the only thing that's holding bullish for now. Moving forward here on the weekly, you can see that the previous week value area low has been acting as resistance, right? And we're currently just above the current week's value area high. So we're only above the weekly VWAP. Everything else is kind of bearish, right? So on the lower time frames, it does look like this wants to go higher. But essentially, this is not very difficult to work out, right? We've got a range here. In fact, let me just do that with a rectangle. Got a range here. And we've got a range here. And if you remember from the last technical analysis update that I did, when we were all the way up here, I did say 19,600 was the level I was looking for, right? Which is exactly where we hit, 19,500, 19,600, right? So if I look at this on the 4-hour chart, and I'll delete this for a second. We were all the way up, here, actually. We couldn't get past this previous VWAP close, right? And I was looking at this level here as the next level of support, and that's exactly where we went to, right? So if I put a little line there, I mean, it doesn't get much closer than that, right? So exactly there, right? The problem with this is that now we've got a double bottom there, so we've got equal lows there. On top of that, we've also got equal lows here, right? And this here is a poor low. There's no excess on that. So that's really, really not bullish at all. And I think that this liquidity will get taken before, even if we are to go up, I think this liquidity will get taken, right? And on top of that, we got some equal lows here. So I think we're due a severe pullback before we move up, if we are indeed to move up, okay? But it does look like shit here on Bitcoin. It doesn't look like it's going to go up first, right? So that's my personal opinion. Of course, I'm not I'm not a financial advisor or whatever, but as you know, I usually tend to be kind of right in the markets. So not trying to brag or anything like that, but again, you know, we're kind of like, we're stuck within this balance here. I'm going to look at the weekly. We're stuck within this balance here, and therefore we rotate here until proven otherwise, okay? What I want to see is a deviation below, and I want to take out these lows here. So if we come all the way down here like this, take out these lows, and then accept back inside, then I will consider a long position. But I'm afraid that at these highs here, I'm not looking for longs, okay? I'll be more interested in longs if we come all the way up here to 21,000, reclaim 21,000, which is the previous weekly VWAP there. Then I'll be considering a long position all the way to 21,800, 22,000, like that, because that would mean acceptance inside of this high volume cluster. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that's going to happen. We've already been rejected here a couple of times, right? So if we go all the way up here, which will be quick, this here is a short. And quite simply, so if this area here is a short position, this area here is a short position. Here, I'm not so keen on taking a long unless we've already swept these lows, done something like this, and then reclaim it. Then I'll be interested in a long position to the next level and potentially even to this one, right? But I'm not interested unless we take out these lows. Does that make sense on the lower time frames? I hope it makes sense, right? So, like I said, not interested in long positions, even though I was interested in long positions at 19,600. But you know, new data comes into the chart, and basically this is telling me that we're heading lower here, okay? And the area that I'm looking for is really around about $19,300, okay, which is basically taking out these lows here, right? So again, here is for shorts, here is for shorts. All right, the only way that I'll be looking for longs up at this high here is if we reclaim this, then I'll be definitely looking for a high a long position up to those highs there, right? Heading higher like this. But for now, I'm looking for shorts, and I would take out these guys here, these two equal lows, right? So up here, I'm looking for shorts heading lower, right? And then we'll just have to wait and see what price does all the way down here, right? So, you know, like I said, I'm looking at around about 19,300 potentially, but you know, we've got we've got a this is probably more visible on the 4-hour chart, so I'm just going to change it to the 4-hour chart a second. In fact, this is the 8-hour. Let's we put on the 4-hour here. So you can see we've got those equal lows there, but then again we've got some equal lows here, and the price did rally there, right? But you know, this is, for me, it's just a poor low. It will show you on the market profile in a minute. It's just a poor low that I believe it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be left behind, in my personal opinion. Okay, I could be wrong, but you know, either way, it's very clear that we've got two ranges. We've got this range here, and we've got this range here, right? And like I said, if I look at this on two rectangles, we're basically looking at this volume cluster here, and then this volume cluster here. And you will notice that we've also got a very small volume cluster there, like that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a small wick, a very quick wick to the downside like this, and then we'll have to wait and see. Will this level here be resistance, or will we get accepted above, and then we'll start targeting the highs and maybe go higher? That's what we need to see, right? So at the moment, I'm not interested in long positions. I'm interested in shorts, and I'll be targeting these lows down here. Okay, so that's basically what I've got here for Bitcoin on the lower time frames. So remove 49 drawings. Let's have a look at this one here. Remove all the drawings. Okay, so it's very clearly, you know, it's very clearly here with the VWAPs, where, you know, below the value area low of the quarterly, below the value area low of the yearly, we're just above the previous month's value area low, but we're still below the developing value area low of the monthly, which is sitting around about 21k, right? Which also has perfect confluence with the previous week VWAP close all the way up here. Okay, so break above this and reclaim that 21k, which is basically this level here, the current month's value area low. If the market reclaims this here like this, then I think that it's the same as reclaiming this here, and I think we could be heading higher, and at least we'll be kind of back inside of this range here on the bottom left hand corner. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, at the moment it looks like it just wants to go lower, especially with the bias that I've got on the S&P. So that's basically it here on Bitcoin. I hope that it makes sense to you guys. Let's have a look at ExoCharts and see what we can spot here. So I will start with the volume profile, right? So on the volume profile on the daily, you can see that we've got a level of interest. We've got a naked point of control here around about $20,700, okay, which basically separates these two ranges, right? So again, if we were to look at this as a range and look at this one here as another range, which is basically what I've been talking about, it is quite possible that the market does what I was talking about here, which is, even if we go all the way up here, this is still a short position, right? Unless we find acceptance inside. Acceptance inside means that we go up, but at the moment this is previous level of support. It's not even been tested as resistance, so this is a high probability trade short, right? So at 20,700 I'm looking for shorts, and then we'll have to see if we get acceptance back inside of here. If we get acceptance back inside of here, this is adding to my short here, and we go and take out these equal lows. Okay, so basically do something like this, right? So this is the imbalance, and there's a naked point of control right in the middle of it. Okay, so 20,700, maybe 20,800, something like that, is definitely a level of interest here. So in terms of naked points of control, we've got that one there. Then we've got one much higher around about 23,400, and one much lower at around about 16,800. Okay, so this is on the daily volume profile. If we look at the weekly volume profile, we've taken out this naked point of control here, but we've got another one a little bit lower, around about $16,000, right? We've also got naked points of control here at 21,380, and another one at $24,000. Okay, we'll have to wait and see if we can actually get back inside of that. But here on the weekly, you can see that we're kind of like accepted back inside of this range, which will take me onto the next chart that I wanted to show you, right? So if you remember this, I showed you this, guys, last week. So this is like it's still a 30-minute chart. This is basically all of the TPOs merged together. So this is like 3 or 4 weeks worth of TPO there, and this is the another 4 or 5 weeks there, right? So if we expand the clusters, it becomes very clear that this here was a lower balance, and this here is a higher balance, right? We got rejected from this higher balance, and also note something, right? I just want to make this very clear. Again, note how every time we deviate below a balance area, we travel to the other side. We deviated above, we went straight back down. Deviated below, we went straight back up. Deviated above, went straight back down. Deviated below, we went straight back up again, right? This here in the middle is like an imbalance area, and you can see by the very thin moves traveling there, right? But this is the previous balance, and again, same thing happens. Deviate above, we go straight back down. Deviate below, we go straight back up. Deviate above, we went straight back down, and of course here, if you can notice that there's a clear rejection of this value area high there, right? So here the strength of the market kind of waned, and we went much lower, and then here we couldn't get back above, right? We got rejected there, and of course that means acceptance inside this balance here, right? So naturally what happens when you get acceptance back inside of this range here, what happens is that we go and travel to the other side of it, and that's exactly what happened with this move here, right? The problem with that now, like I said, is that we have left equal lows here, right? So I want to see a really strong deviation, just like we saw here. I want to see the price do something like this and then reclaim it. You know, just by taking these equal lows, I'm not going to go an aggressive long, because this could take out the equal lows and then just continue down, right? So this is key. I don't want to just go an aggressive long here. However, if we take those lows and then reclaim this range, that confirms to me that this is indeed a deviation, and of course I'll be targeting those levels up there. Okay, does that make sense? Basically the same principle of deviating above and then accepting back inside of the range. Okay, so deviating above and then acceptance back inside of the range, you go straight to the other side. Same thing here, we deviate below, if we accept back inside of the range, we go higher. But for now, I'm not interested in long positions until we've cleared this. Okay, and like I said, you know, up at these highs here, I'm looking for shorts. Here I'm looking for shorts, and of course, even if we do get all the way to 21,800 here, I'll be looking for shorts there, right? The only thing that changes that if we do indeed structurally clean out some of these inefficiencies, okay, which is in this case these pull lows. If we're this close, just like as I wasn't interested in longs up here, I'm not interested in shorts here, right? I'm more interested in short positions if we do actually do something like this, head lower, and then try and reclaim that level there, but it starts heading lower again, right? So let me just do this again. If this does something like this, If it goes below, deviates below, and then doesn't get accepted back inside of this range, then that's a trigger for a short, and I'll be targeting much lower prices. Okay, but for now, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's a long or a short. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're kind of in the middle of this range here, right? So I'm not really interested in any trades for now. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on the higher time frames. On the lower time frames, if I look at this profile here, so this is today's profile. We've cleaned out some of these single prints, but we bounced there. We've got back inside of today's value area, which is this area here, and we went from the value area low to the value area high, and now we're above the point of control. Again, here we've left some poor highs, right? There's no excess there. So in my personal opinion, we clear those, right? If we clear those, where are we likely to go to, right? Well, I'm going to reset this. As you can see here, this here is 4 days. It's a 4-day merged together, right? Four profiles, right? So we've accepted above. Let me just do that like this. Composite value area. We've accepted above this composite value here. On the lower time frames, if we clean this level here, right, and we go all the way to say 20,700, which is that level that we were talking about, 20,700, 20,800, and then kind of come back down again, if we get accepted back inside this composite value here, then we're heading lower, right? And that means that we're going to clear out those equal lows down here. This is a poor low here as well, right? But what I'm trying to get to is that we've got an anomaly here, poor low, but we've also got a poor high here. So we're probably going to head higher before we head down. If, however, we get acceptance above these single prints, now here we've got like a 6-day composite, right? This here is like a 6-day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-day composite value area, right? Just above these single prints, which is basically $21,000. So if we accept above $21,000, it's basically that same thing that I was showing you on the 4-hour chart, which is basically doing something like this. Taking out the single prints and then accepting above here means that we're almost certainly going to go up to this level here, right, to 21,700. Okay, so we've got a composite 6-day composite here, we've got a 4-day composite here, and somewhere in the middle we've got a naked point of control at right about $20,700, and we've got some single prints above at 20,900. So we'll just have to wait and see. This this is a contention point. I do think that we go and take this naked point of control here. And like I said, that would clear out these poor highs, right? So my personal opinion of what's going to happen, and I could be completely wrong, but it's basically take out this naked point of control, clean out the poor highs here. So do something like this. Maybe even go as far as the single prints, but I'm not really interested in that. We've got a naked value area low here, we've got the single prints, and we've got that naked point of control. So 2650, we've got 20,800 to 20,900. This whole thing is basically a clusterfuck of levels here that are potential entries for a short, right? And cleaning out this inefficiency here means that we've got room to move down. And then of course I'll be looking at this inefficiency here, especially if we get acceptance back inside $20,200 here, right? This is the signal here on a retest, is the signal for a short, and I'll be targeting much lower prices. So I hope this kind of makes sense here on this, on the market profile. I've been trying to sort of like show you on the lower time frames how it likely to play out. But yeah, 20,700 is a contention point here. So if I look at the footprint here, that's that composite That's the 3-day, 4-day composite. You can see that we've already been rejected there. We've left a few trapped sellers down here, the highs, but we've also got trapped buyers up there. So we're kind of like just trying to decide where we're going to go. At the moment, there's not really much in the way of volume to tell us who's offside and who's not offside, right? But one thing that is noticeable is that there's a few trapped buyers at the top here, right? So, you know, we could clear those guys out and clear out all of these stops before we head lower, right? You can see here that we've got a lot of volume here, around about 20,700. There's a lot of trapped buyers at these levels as well, which would clear out all of these guys' stops. So, you know, there's stops above, there's stops below. So let's just wait and see which ones get taken out first. In my personal opinion, we go up, we tap 20,700, 20,800, and then we head lower. But of course, acceptance above 21K means that we're going higher. So that's basically the long and the short of it, and I hope that kind of makes sense to you guys, all right? So with that out of the way, let's move on to Ethereum. And on Ethereum versus USD, you can see that basically, yes, we got rejected here. We didn't even get to the 2022 VWAP. We got rejected here on the value area low of 2021, right? And this is a high volume cluster here, and even though the price came all the way down here to this low volume node here at around about 1430, something like that, the price bounced there. But we're now at resistance again, right? We're back on the edge of this high volume cluster here, right, with the low volume node acting right now as resistance, which is also the value area low of the current quarter, right? So let me just delete some of these drawings. And now if I was to put this is the wrong one, let me just go onto this one here. I believe it's this one. Let me just go onto this different chart here, see if I've got the balance areas there. No, I didn't get the balance areas here. It's very strange that everything disappeared. It's not a problem. Let's just go back to the Bybit one. Apologies for that. Been cleaning up my charts and getting ready for other things. So let me just put the rectangles here. So you can see here we've got a clear balance area here. Back, let me just, something's not quite right here. Aha, that's why I had it on a log chart. So just bear with me just a second. So I've got a clear balance here. I've also got a clear balance way down here. And that's really annoying that all of those lines disappeared. But I had something like this. And I had this in different colors. So I'm just going to put that as orange. And that as orange as well. Right? So if you remember on the last technical analysis update, although the drawings were slightly different, right? I had like a collection of all of these rectangles, different colors and everything, but it's gone. But anyway, it looked something like this. This was clearly resistance at around about $2,000, and then I said that the next level of support would be around about $1,500, maybe even $1,400, which is the edge of this high volume cluster here, right? That's exactly where we bounced. But if you look at that again, that's a pull low. There's no excess, there's no wick like this one. So I don't think we're quite done yet there. At the moment it does look like we're testing the value area low of 2022 and we're getting rejected there. So if we are to go lower, again, this here is imperative. If we get acceptance below $1,400, right, if we do something like this and then we find that 1,450 is resistance, then we're going to head much lower, okay, around about $1,000. All right, and that's basically looking at this area here as the next range, okay? And then we've got, of course, this area here as the next range. So the real question is, are we going to get acceptance back above $1,500, or are we going to get acceptance below $1,400? All right. So that's basically what I'm looking for right now. If I look at, yeah, it's very strange that all of those bars have gone. If we look at all the VWAPs, we're basically back above the quarterly VWAP, okay, which is a good thing. Right, we're above the quarterly VWAP. We're still below the monthly, we're still below the yearly, and we're just about approaching, we're just about above the previous week's VWAP and approaching the value area high of that previous week's VWAP as well, right, around about 1660. But this is confusing because, you know, if we look at this on the 4-hour chart, let me just show you here. Okay, this is a value area high, this is the value area low, and this was a VWAP close for the month of July, right? So here we got rejected of the current VWAP, right, and we headed down, and of course here we're finding resistance. Of course, it's the value area high of July, right? So unless we can get above $1,600, this is going to be resistance, and we're heading much lower, right? And I'll be looking at $1,400 and potentially even $1,200, $1,100 or something like that. Okay, but it does look like we are back inside of this range here, and as such, if we get acceptance here, this is an entry for a short, and we'll be heading down here, potentially taking profits here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking on Ethereum. Okay, so forget the merge, forget the narratives and everything else. I'm just looking at charts here, right? On the quarterly, however, it does look like we've bounced on the previous quarter's value area low here, right? Even though this is a low volume area and we've printed no excess there, right? So acceptance above here means that we'll find resistance above here around about $1,600, but we could be heading higher, right? But it all depends on Bitcoin. So let's just have a look. At the moment, this is all very, you know, it's the end of the month. It's getting close to the end of the week. You know, we're midweek. This is all like really kind of a little bit ambiguous here. It depends on what's going to happen with the non-farm payroll and the volatility coming in on Friday. But at the moment, it does look like things want to go up here on Ethereum compared to Bitcoin anyway. But again, we are below certain key levels here. Okay, so we're trying to get acceptance at the value area low of 2022. We are above the quarterly VWAP. We are above the previous quarter value area low, but we're heading at resistance here with the July value area high, and also with the last week's value area high as well. So we'll just have to wait and see here what happens on Ethereum. But in terms of resistance levels, I've got $1,615 for resistance, and then $1,690 also as resistance. Okay. If we look at this on the daily chart, let me just look at this objectively, just with the volume. Okay, so if you look at this as a high volume cluster here, you can see what I'm talking about. We could be rotating here for quite some time, right? You could argue, however, that this is a much higher volume cluster here. So 1440 might be the level of support here that we wanted with this low volume node, and we might be heading to $2,200 here if you consider that this whole thing is a value area, right? Levels of support, like I said, around about $1,400 and $1,300 being the line in the sand, this line here, okay, which is basically the edge of this high volume cluster. For now, on the higher time frames, it does look like we bounced at support, and if we can carry on higher, then we're heading to this level here, $2,200. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. Do we do that, or are we going to find resistance at this previous level of support here? Right, as you can see here is the current quarter's value area high here. Right, around about $1,800. So without wanting to confuse things too much, let's do just a very simple analysis on the higher time frames. $1,400 as support, $2,200 as resistance. If we can get above this level of resistance here, which is around about $1,800. Okay, if we lose this level of support, the next level of support is $1,300, but if we lose that one, we're heading much lower to round about $1,000. Okay, and we would trapped inside of this one here. Does that make sense? So support, support, resistance, resistance. Okay, it's as simple as that. And I know that sometimes I tend to overcomplicate things with all these different value areas and everything else, but let me just do it really simple like this. And I'm going to delete all of these brush marks now. On the daily chart, that's what we're looking at right now. Okay. So 1430 as support, 1300 as support, 1790 as resistance, and 2200 as resistance as well. Okay. So we're somewhere between these two levels here. Okay. So break above this one, we go to that one. Break below this one here, we go to this one. And of course, if we lose that one, then of course we're heading much lower to this level here. Okay, and of course, if we head higher, we got $3,000 as resistance as well up there. Okay, that's basically it. But yeah, in the short term, Ethereum is looking a lot better than Bitcoin, and therefore let's move on to Ethereum versus BTC and see if we can see that strength on the chart. So on the weekly chart here, you can see that we have come lower and we bounced exactly where that trend line is. We didn't even quite get to where the yearly VWAP is here, and we just bounced straight away. So again, this level here at 75,000 sats is looking like really strong support. If we lose that, then 70,000 sats is the next level of support as well. Okay, so let me just take that brush mark off and put these off like this. So this one here, I'm going to change to green because it's now a level of support. Okay, something like that. Okay, so again, strong levels of support, strong levels of resistance here. So 81,000 sats is resistance, 74.8 or 75,000 sats is support. Okay, and I'm going to put that there just because that's a low volume node there, and adjust that slightly. And that one there. Just to make it easier. Okay, so we've got 81,000 sats as resistance, 72,000 sats as support, and we've got 70,000 sats as very strong support here. I'm going to make this a little bit brighter just to reflect the fact that that's where the yearly VWAP is and where that trend line is as well. Right, and but if we lose that level there, then the next level will be 65. So 65, 70 and 75 and 73, that's levels of support. Okay, but 70,000 sats and 65,000 sats, very strong levels of support. 81,000 sats, very strong levels of resistance. If Ethereum continues to outperform Bitcoin, then I think we're heading to much higher prices here, and I'll be looking at this level here around about 90,000 sats as the next level of resistance, and perhaps even 100,000 sats here as the next level of resistance as well. Okay, Ethereum does look like it's heading higher, right? It doesn't look like it's waning, and maybe because of the merge or whatever. Either way, it does look a lot stronger than Bitcoin. Okay, and that hasn't changed at all. If you look here on the daily chart with the quarterly VWAP, it does look like we're getting rejected here on the value area high of this quarter, and the quarterly VWAP has very strong confluence with that low volume node around about 70,000 sats, which is where the yearly VWAP is, where the trend line is, and this low volume node. Okay, so 70,000 sats is an important level of support, 80,000 sats, important level of resistance. But like I said, it does look like it wants to head higher. I mean, look at this. Higher highs, higher lows. It's no broken market structure in the slightest, okay? So it just looks like it wants to head higher. So Ethereum looking really strong compared to everything else, right? So with that out of the way, let's move on to the FODL trading pairs for the very last time. Okay, and again, just remember that it doesn't matter if you've been here long enough, it doesn't matter what I look at and what technical analysis I look at on the charts. If Bitcoin's going down and Ethereum's going down, then all these altcoins will be going down too. Okay, so there's really like, it's a little bit ambiguous doing technical analysis on these altcoins. You have to keep an eye on the main charts, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just keep that in mind, okay? So anyway, let's start with the FODL trading pairs, and I'll start with FODL versus USDT on OKX. And we're still very much in this range, okay? So I just established this range here like weeks ago now, and we're just kind of trading sideways here, right? With this level here being a strong level of resistance, this level here as being a strong level of support, and we're just kind of stuck in this range here. There's a nice accumulation cylinder going on there, right? As you can see here, nice accumulation cylinder, plenty of volume here. So, you know, at these highs here at 2 cents, maybe you want to go short, and around about 1.5 cents you want to be going long, okay? Break above this and you can see that this large liquid move that I highlighted here is a void in liquidity, okay? So the price will travel very quickly all the way to 6 cents. So potentially a very nice trade there. But again, we're still below resistance, so we'll have to wait and see. If the price starts doing something like this, constructive price action, then I'll be entering a long position and aiming for 6 cents. But until then, it's just wise to just play this range, okay? So with FODL versus USDC, I believe it's probably going to be the same kind of scenario here. So let's just look at this range. Let me take some of these brush marks off. Right, so you can see that basically this is acting as resistance here now, actually. So let me just delete all of these. I'm going to put another level of resistance here. And basically this is the range that we're trading in. Right, so somewhere between these two levels, okay? Break above this one, we go to this next level of resistance, break below that one, and we go to the next level of support, which will be a big round number, okay? There's no previous price action, this is at all-time lows, so there's no previous price action to decide or to take a frame, a reference from to act as support, right? So you're just forced to go with big round numbers, okay? So that would be all the way down here. On the other hand, if we do break above, and again we break above this level of resistance, the distance to 6 cents is very much the same like on OKX. It's like 130%, so this would be a massive trade to the upside, okay? But it's key that we break above this key level of resistance here, and if we do that, then I'll be building a long position to target those highs up here, okay? But the key thing really is breaking above this level of resistance, breaking above the current range that we're in. Okay, so that's on FODL versus USDC. FODL versus ETH. So let me just delete some of these brush marks, as price has changed dramatically in the last few weeks since the last time I did this. So I'm going to delete this here. I'm going to add this like this, okay? So again, on FODL versus ETH, we've got a level of support here, we've got a level of resistance here, and I'm looking at this high volume cluster there. So therefore, this is the range, okay? If we break above this level here, then I think we're going to go into this one here, which will be strong resistance. As you can see, it was previous support. Same thing here. This is resistance already consumed there, okay? So again, looking at these high volume clusters there. All right, but for now we're kind of stuck inside of this range. So this is resistance, this here is support. If we lose this level of support, I think we're going to head much lower, and again you'll have to look at big round numbers in order to ask for support, because there's no frame of reference, there's no previous price action for us to reference from. So that's all I've got for FOLO versus ETH. With Binance versus USD, that's interesting. Look at that. That line has been there for weeks now. Okay, and I'm just going to delete that line so you can see what it is. It's basically the value area low of the current year's VWAP. Right, and you can see that very, very clearly here. That's basically where we've been bouncing here, right? You can see that very, very clearly. So as long as we are bouncing here and we're above this level here, which is around about $275, okay, I think we're struggling at the moment to get above the 2021 VWAP there, which you can see is this very faint blue line here, right? But as long as we are above this, then I think we're really good to go up to $350, which is the current year's VWAP. But at the moment, like I said, with the markets looking like it want to go lower, and this level here acting as resistance, this is perhaps the best opportunity you've got of going short. Okay, and if you're going short, the next level of support will be way down here at around about $246. All right, so you can see here we've got tapering volume to the downside, right? And this is a previous level of resistance, that when we reclaimed it, came back and confirmed it as support. So naturally, that's going to be the next level of support, which is right on the edge of this high volume cluster here. So $245. So this potentially, where we are right now, could be a really good short entry targeting $240. However, if we reclaim this level here, then I think we're going to head much higher to around about $350 here. Okay, so just to make it really, really easy, that's a 4-hour trade like that. Okay, so basically you want to be going short with the invalidation being above this previous high here, which is also above the 2021 VWAP, which has been acting as resistance, which is this faint blue line that you guys can see here, right? So if it goes above there, then you know that it's no longer, the short is wrong, right? And you could perhaps go long instead. So you could perhaps maybe do something like this, put a long position here, targeting the yearly VWAP, with your stops being just below this previous lows here, which is this low volume node here, right? Doing something like that. So we're kind of at a crucial point here, right? So that's basically how I'm seeing this, okay? So again, just this level here, let me just, this here as resistance, this here is resistance, and then this level here is support, and this level here is support. Okay, so $275 as support, and then below that $245. Okay, levels of resistance $290, $300, something like that. Well, it's actually $290 as resistance, and if we can break above that, then I think $340, $350 will be the next level of resistance, as you can see here. All right, but overall, you can see that we're inside this high volume cluster here, right, with the value area high and the value area low there. So at the moment it does look like we're at support and we want to break higher, right? But with this level here acting as resistance, and with Bitcoin and the S&P looking like crap, I wouldn't be so keen on taking a long position. Okay, so that's kind of like what I'm seeing right now. And of course we've got equal lows here, sorry, equal highs there. Okay, so actually if this was to rally all the way up here and tap that yearly VWAP, this would be a great entry for a short, targeting bottom of this range here, taking profits here as well. Okay, so doing something like this and targeting there. But that's kind of the dynamics of ranges and balance areas. However, basically what you want to focus on right now is that the fact that yes, we are inside a range, but we're being rejected here at a key level, all right, which is basically around about $290. And as long as we stay below that, that's a short position and targeting 240. Okay, 245. So that's on Binance versus USD. Let's look at Binance versus ETH, BNB versus ETH. And again, because ETH is outperforming Bitcoin, I'm not going to chart these coins versus Bitcoin. I'm going to chart them versus ETH. And again, we're very much inside of that range that I highlighted for you guys weeks ago. Right, and so basically, this here is resistance, this here is support until proven otherwise, and therefore this is the range that we're looking at, right, on BNB versus ETH. Okay, this is the 2022 VWAP, so it's going to be very strong support, and this level here, which is the previous level of support, is now acting as resistance, of course. All right, so I wouldn't be surprised to actually see this is a poor high here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this can peak above, and then we'll have to wait and see. If it confirms here that this is support, that's a long, right, targeting higher. However, if it deviates above, comes back below, then I would be short on the retest, which is basically the retest of this level here, and I'll be targeting much lower levels here. Okay, and that's basically how I would play this. But for now, as you can see here, we're inside of a range, right? Moving on to AV versus USD. Well, we're still very much inside of this range as well. Let me just delete some of these brush marks. Right, you see how the price deviated above that level of resistance, just like it did here, and then it dumped, right? Deviated above and then it dumped. And it didn't quite get to this level down here because there is a low volume node acting as support here, around about $80, right? $78, $79, something like that. It does look like it wants to head higher, but it hasn't even tapped the value area low of the current year VWAP, all right? So in the meantime, for now, we're kind of still stuck in between this range here, right? Get acceptance below that. As you can see here, this is a big range like that, and I think we'll be heading a lot lower. And I think, in fact, I'm going to change this. I'm going to put this on the edge like that. Okay, and that's basically how I see this playing out. We've already deviated above as well, so you know, it depends. Do we come all the way down here, deviate below, and then accept? If we do that, that's a long position. However, if it comes below, comes here and then confirms that this is indeed resistance, well, that's a short position and we're heading lower. Okay, so that's why I give you these lines. It doesn't matter if it's going to go, I can't tell you if it's going to go up or it's going to go down. I just give you the levels and the signals, sorry, the levels that you want to be trading your signals in. Okay, so acceptance above or acceptance below, and that's basically what you want to look at. All right, so at the moment we're inside of this range. If we fall below this level here, we're going to be accepted inside of this range. If we break resistance, then we're likely to head to this yearly VWAP all the way at $133, but potentially even higher at around about $160. We'll have to wait and see. For now, we just trade the range. Okay, so that's on AV versus USD. On AV versus ETH, I'm going to delete some of these brush marks because it looks very confusing there. Okay, so very clearly still inside of this range here, right? This is the yearly VWAP and it's acting as very strong resistance. Okay, so the more important level of support, in my personal opinion, is way down here, right? Because it's the value area low of this yearly VWAP, right? With this being the value area high, this being the value area low. However, there is a low volume node there, and this is a high volume cluster. So we're looking at this here for support. Okay, so resistance, support. Break below that one, we go to this one. Break above this one, we go to that one. Compound versus USD. Again, still very much in the same range, okay? And we're trading inside of this high volume cluster here. If we break below that one, this here could be acting as the next level of support. So we could be doing something like this. If we break above this level of resistance, then we could be going to this next level here, right? However, as you will notice, there's tapering volume here up until this level here, around about $35. So if there's a significant pullback on Bitcoin and we lose the bottom of this range here, right, previous level of support, if we lose that level there with this tapering volume, I think we could be heading much lower. Although this is the value area low that could act as support, I think we could be heading much lower to this level here, around about $30. Okay, so at the moment the price is sitting around about $47, so that's a real big trade to be looking at, okay, especially here on the daily, on the higher time frames, if you like. But quite simply, as you can see, we're still kind of inside of this range here. All right, break above this level of resistance. We've got the yearly VWAP is way above at $85 here, but you know, breaking above this level of resistance would take us all the way up to this level here around about $61, which is this level here, right? And then if we can break above that, then we're inside of this range here, right? But you can see that that's got tapering volume there, so it would be very, very quick for the price to get all the way up here. So we'll just have to wait and see, with the key levels being the closest levels of resistance. Okay, so this one and this one here. And then, like I said, support as well, and we could be heading all the way down here as well. So we just have to be careful with this one. At the moment it's still ranging, and it's ranging inside of this big volume cluster that's actually a double distribution. Two little clusters inside a big one. Alright, so that's on Compound versus USD. Compound versus ETH. Ooh, okay. Delete some of these lines. Alright, so it does look like we've lost this level of support here, interestingly. So I'm going to put that as red now. Even though this is the value area low. As you can see, this is the value area low, and it does look like we've just lost that. Right, so the next level, in my personal opinion, is this big round number here. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see. Will this deviation here with the trapped shorts, will they act as strong support, and will we bounce from there? If so, the range would be here, right? But if it don't, this here is the next level of support, and therefore we'll be trapped inside of this range here. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. At the moment, this looks like resistance here, right? It does look like it wants to head lower to that one. However, reclaim this here, and we're heading higher. All right, so paying close attention to this one, Compound versus ETH. Moving on to BAT versus USD. And again, we lost a key level of support here. And let me just delete some of these brush marks here. Okay, so this here was very important level of support, and we've lost that. So I expect this now to be resistance. If we do, however, reclaim this, something like this, then you can expect it to go back to this level here and continue trading inside of this range. Okay. However, this here is resistance until proven otherwise, and this here is support, and that's why we've got this little range here. Alright, so therefore I expect the price to do something like this. If there is a severe pullback on Bitcoin, however, then we'll be heading all the way down here to around about 25 cents here on BAT versus USD. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Sort of on the short term, we're kind of here, with this previous level here as being the perfect entry for a short. You know, this was previous level of support, right? It's not been tested as resistance yet. So, wrong tool. If the bias is indeed down, I'll put the stop just above this previous high here. I'll put the stop just above that, and I'll be targeting that level down there, okay, as the next low. Alright, and that's basically what I'm saying. As you can see, this is tapering volume leading to like pretty much another range here. If we look at this on the week, 3-day maybe. can see here, this is another range altogether, right? So acceptance below that, that means that we could be heading all the way down there, right? So we just have to be careful with that. In fact, I'm going to adjust this slightly now, looking at this. I'm going to make this bigger again. Looking at 28 cents is the next level of support. Okay, just looking at the higher time frames on the 3-day chart or the weekly chart, I'm looking at this level here as the next level for a bounce. Okay, so again, the short would look something like this. All right, so basically not taking a short here, but if it goes all the way up to this level here, that's what you want to be doing. We want to be looking, targeting this trade here, with the stops being above this previous high. Not financial advice, I'm just telling you this is for educational and entertainment purposes, but basically we're kind of stuck in between this range here for now, but I don't think this level will hold for much longer. As you can see here, it's tapering volume, so it's likely to accelerate, especially if there's a pullback on Bitcoin. Alright, so that's BAT versus USD. BAT versus ETH, still very much within the range, but we've definitely been rejected here from the value area low of the year's VWAP, as you can see here, right? Rejected. So therefore this is the next level of support, but in fact I'm going to do this. No, put it there. Yeah, just looking at the bigger picture here on the 3-day, or maybe even on the weekly. Let's have a look at this on the weekly. Yeah, no, I think this here is significant. Yeah. So just bear with me just a second. See how I put the levels on the higher time frame and then just look at them on the lower time frames? That's basically how I do this, and therefore I think that the range will be somewhere like this. Okay, break above here, and I think we go to the next level here. Break below this one, and we go to the next level down here. Okay, and that's basically what I'm seeing here on BAT versus ETH. Link versus USD. This will be interesting. So Chainlink still very much within the range, right? And this is a range that's been going on for ages. So with this here being support, this here being resistance, and we've been doing this for quite some time now, since May this year, right? So again, we're in the middle of nowhere right now, but if we come down to the lows, this is a long position. If you come to the highs, this is a short position, and that's basically how you want to trade this, right? You know, maybe even reduce this a little bit lower like that. Okay, and that's basically how you should be trading this. I'm looking at this high volume cluster here to determine where the ranges are. And that's essentially it. So $7.80, $7.70 as resistance, $6 as support. Moving on to Link versus ETH. Interestingly, we've lost quite a few key levels there. So this here acting as resistance now. So the next level of support could be, let's have a look at this on the higher time frame. Apologies for that, just a minute. Let me just try and make a little bit of sense out of this. Like that. Okay, so let's go back on the daily chart here. So yeah, I'm looking at this here for resistance, this level here for support, and basically trading inside of that range. Note how the value area low is very close to this level of support, which was a previous level of resistance here, right? It's also the edge of this high volume cluster there. So I'm looking at this level here around about what's that, 3,780 way as support, and right about 4,400 way as resistance. Okay, and therefore, you know, we just kind of rotate sideways now. It does look like this previous level of support here has been lost, and it's now acting as resistance here and here, right? So as resistance until proven otherwise. Break above this one, and I think we go to this next level of resistance. Break below this level of support, and we go to the next level of support. Finally, Uni versus USD. We've lost a key level of support here. Okay, so let me just delete some of these brush marks. Alright, so it does look like it wants to get accepted here back into these lows. Okay, so with this high volume cluster now and this low volume node acting as resistance. So this is resistance, and this here is support, and therefore the range to be somewhere like that. Note how the value area low of the 2022 VWAP has confluence with the support, which is this low volume node down here around about $4.60, and $6.60 is a low volume node here acting, you know, as previous level of support, previous level of support, support, and now it's not even been tapped as resistance, although it had here before. Right, so again, in terms of short positions, you'll be targeting something like this. You know, put in the stops just above these previous highs here. Does that make sense? So something like this, and then heading much lower. Alright, so this is resistance, this is support, and therefore the range should be somewhere in the middle like that. Alright? So that's Uni versus USD. On Uni versus BTC, sorry, Uni versus ETH, you can see that we're still very much in the same range. This here is resistance, this 2022 VWAP will be support. Okay, it's also a high volume cluster there, it's a high volume node, so I do expect that to be a very strong level of support. So therefore we'll be trading inside of here for quite some time. Alright, so at these lows you want to go long, at these highs you want to go short. If we break below this level, then I think it'll be a very quick, just like it was here. Right, let me just highlight that with a marker, highlighter. See how thin that move was to the upside? If we lose this level here, then it's going to be a very thin move to the downside as well, okay? Reflexivity means that it will, you know, it'll travel just as quickly, right? So here the market came down, went back to that previous level of support. This is the level of support, confirmed it as resistance, and now we're heading lower, okay? So like I said, you know, don't get tricked thinking that we're going straight there, because here we've got the yearly VWAP, right? So this is going to be strong support here, but that's basically what I'm seeing on this chart, right? We're seeing a range being formed here, with this being resistance and this here being support. But if we do lose that, then you know it's a strong trade to go all the way back down here. Okay, so with that out of the way, I think I've covered all of the Feudal trading pairs. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure working for Feudal and being with you all in here. I will every now and again do technical analysis updates for you guys as normal. I'm not sure if I'll do it 3 times a week as I used to do for Feudal. I'll probably do it once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on my time schedule. And I'll probably be focused mainly on Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe even just on Bitcoin. I won't be covering all the Feudal trading pairs. But like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this helps you guys stay on the right side of the trade. Let's have a look at what the S&P is doing just to recap. Still very much where it was when I started this stream. Bitcoin still very much where it was when I started this stream. So there's not really much to recap. But yeah, I hope it keeps you on the right side of the trades. I hope it's been helpful to you guys. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, and yeah, trade smart. Bye bye.